Cheburashka, also known as Chebi, My Fluffy Friend, Russian, is a 2023 Russian live-action/computer animated children's comedy film directed by Dmitry Dyachenko. The film is an adaptation of Eduard Uspensky's 1960s children's book Gina the Crocodile and His Friends and an adaptation of that Soviet cartoon about the adventures of Gina the Crocodile and Cheburashka. The film stars Olga Kuzmina, Sergei Garmaz, Fyodor Dobronravov and Yelena Yakovleva. The idea for the film was already launched in 2020, but filming began in early 2021 at the Sochi Arboretum. Cheburashka was released in Russia on January 1, 2023, by Central Partnership. On January 1, Cheburashka set a box office record among Russian films, earning over 225 million rubles on its first day of release and 837 million rubles in the first 3 days. 15 days after its release, the film has already collected more than 1 billion rubles, making it the highest-grossing Russian film. It also became the first film to gross over 5 billion Russian ruble. Cheburashka received generally mixed to positive reviews from critics and audiences. Critics praised its visual effects, although the story was considered predictable. After the success of the film, Soyuzmultfilm signed a contract to produce the sequel and the entire series. It begins with the opening of an orange tree in Spain where several farmers are picking oranges until a furry animal with big ears who loves to eat oranges appears and steals them. One day people get tired of putting up with it and decide to arrest him. Using an orange-shaped baited trap, they manage to capture the animal. But suddenly a huge hurricane appears, which takes away all the oranges along with the animal, and the people manage to escape. Currently, on the Russian Black Sea coast, retired elderly Gina, who works as a gardener at an arboretum, tries to restore his relationship with his daughter Tanya. Tanya lives with her husband Tolja and son Grisha in a mini shop where they sell the most delicious chocolate and prepare for the annual festival. Also, Gina's life takes a turn for the worse when she is rude and insults Rima, the manager of the chocolate factory, from which she is almost fired. When oranges start falling across town after a hurricane, the animal itself arrives in the area with them. Arriving at Gina's house, he mistakes the orange helmet for a large orange, tries to take it off, and smashes everything in the house before falling into Gina's hands. At first, Gina resists the animal and tries to get rid of it in every possible way, but over time she gets used to it and decides to keep it, calling it Belarusian Shepherd, in front of many people. One day, when Gina came to visit Tanya on the birthday of her silent son Grisha to congratulate her grandson and ask her daughter for forgiveness for the past, the animal itself arrives. Grisha is surprised by such an animal and begins to speak for the first time. Thanks to Grisha, the animal also learns to speak Russian, and after that Gina begins to teach him to read different books, and thanks to this animal, Grisha sometimes wants to visit his grandfather Gina. Tanya starts talking to her father again. In the present, Larayan steals Tanya's cookbook that she and her husband made and sold chocolate. After hearing about the theft, Tanya and her husband Tolja plan to refuse to participate in the candy festival. Gina and her friend Valera come to Rima and demand the return of the book. Rima agrees to send her back on the condition that Gina lends her ear to her and her granddaughter Sonia, who used to be a very headstrong Sonia. Gina has no choice but to give the animal as a gift for the book. On the way, he remembers his youth, when he also had to give up Tanya temporarily when she was still young. Gina manages to exchange the recipe book for an animal and return the book to her daughter. But he hates his father even more when he finds out that he gave him the same animal in return. Gina cannot forgive herself for her actions for a long time and decides to get the animal away from Rima. For this, he asks for help from his true friends Valera. Galia is an ice cream seller, the boss is a woman and the janitor is a man. Together with them, they travel to Rima's house, only to find that the animal is not there because she took it with Sonia to a festival where Rima plans to launch a rocket into the sky, which explodes. In the air and sprinkles sweets to all the people instead of saying hello. At night, when the animal is left in a tent, Gina sneaks out and apologizes to his ears for what she did, after which she tells her husband Ljuba what she had to endure for a long time. The animal forgives Gina and they decide to leave the fair. Grisha, on the other hand, is revealed inside a candy rocket takes off into the sky. The animal dares to run to the boy's aid and before the rocket explodes, jumps down with him, sliding on the pseudo-ears, where the humans manage to catch them. The next day, all friends and relatives of Gina, as well as Tanya, Tolja and Grisha, celebrate the animal's birthday, because they do not know exactly when he was born. The animal himself at that time calls himself by the name he came up with, Cheburashka. Because he fell from time to time and loudly pronounced the word Cheburano during the film. Rima herself comes to Cheburashka's birthday, apologizes to Gina and her whole family for the rocket incident and repents. Moreover, after that incident, she was deprived of her mother's rights and Sonia was taken away from her. Gina forgives Rima and invites her to the table, after which she begins to sing. Unfortunately, birthdays only come once a year, on the harmonica. In the after-work scene, a joke is cut when Gina and Cheburashka are riding a motorcycle on the highway and the police stop them and say, "Take it off the wheel." To this, the indignant Cheburashka replies, "I am."